Okay, so then I've gotten started with putting the hull together. I've glued the two parts together with Tamiya extra thin. Started removing some parts so I can add the Pontos details later on. So ladder, the anchor on the aft that is actually pointing in the wrong direction. Given the bottom a bit of sanding, and the gap, there isn't too much of a gap, but there is a misalignment, so I will need to put some putty on, sand it down, get all the details from Pontos on before I give it some wiping of rubbing alcohol and some primer. I think I might be adding the deck to give it a bit more stability, but let's see. Okay, so then I've put some putty on, started to sand. Takes quite a while, starting to get okay, doing some more putting and sanding to see how it turns out. So after I've sanded it down, I will give it a coat of primer so we can see if there are still some imperfections. So now I'm working on removing parts from the decking, and what I do, I'm using a chisel from Tamiya instead of just sanding, and then I can only chip them away, kind of. I will show how I do it at least, and you don't need to do a lot of sanding afterwards. So we're going to remove this boulard. So I always use the flat side and carefully put some pressure on it, never towards my fingers or on the body parts. As always with knives, that can always lead to mishaps, which you definitely won't like. This is very sharp, and you get a fairly flat and good surface afterwards without the need to do a lot of sanding, which I at least don't like to do as much. And of course, if there are parts behind that you're not going to remove, then you should definitely not point the chisel against those parts, because suddenly it just slips and then you have lost the part that you want to have. And that's definitely not a good thing. Okay, so then the aft decking should be ready according to the plans from Pontos. Okay, so now it's the hull has been primed. I've also done a couple of rounds with putting, sanding. I'm on my third or fourth round now, So hopefully the last round of Mr. Surfacer 1000. So what I've been doing is using the putty from Vallejo. First and foremost, I use this one. Then I gave it a sanding, a priming, then some rounds of this Mr. Surfacer, which is a really good putty or filler for small gaps and lines. And then of course sanding with 600 grit, 1000 grit and 1500 grit. So I guess this will be the end of part 1.